The first thing we're going to do is we're going to thread our machine. So for this, you'll need a spool and a bobbin. You're going to open up the top right here and you're going to put the spool on the spool pen, and then you'll put the cap on going like this to where the pointed side is facing away from the spool. You'll also need to find out where the end of the thread is and have that out before you start. And you place it right on the top. Once that's secure, you're going to take your thread and you're going to go around this black piece right here and down the right side. You're gonna go under and then come to this side. Now your lever should be up. If your lever isn't up, go ahead and use the hand wheel to make that lever come up, and the lever should be up on this side right here. And now this is where it gets a little bit, or can get a little bit trickier. So you are going to want to make sure that your thread is falling right on the right side of that lever. So you went around black, down here, around, and then to the right side, around the silver piece, and then you are going to click it into place to where you should be able to see the thread in between the circle part of that lever right there. So then you're going to come all the way down, and then you're going to make your way to the bottom part where you will actually thread the machine. So for this part, there is this little L-shaped bracket that you are going to need to pay attention to, and it is right here. So you're going to go down, you're going to find that L-shaped bracket and go to the side, and it should loop, so it should connect right there. Then you are going to put the thread through the needle. You may have to raise the needle a little bit if it's too low. Remember, you're doing all of this with the machine off. I'm going to put it through just like that. Grab the back of it, and then your thread should always go through your foot and out the back. It should have at least like a couple inches tail on the end of it. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is put the bobbin in. So you're going to lift the plate by pushing this black thing off to the side, and it should lift right up. Then you are going to take your bobbin and make sure that the thread is hanging on the right hand side. So you should have a little bit of it should look like a P, a lowercase p. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and place it in there. There is a notch right on your, hold on, let me adjust, right on the bobbin casing right here, and you are going to make sure the thread goes through that. So typically what I do is I'm going to hold the bobbin and I am going to help guide it through. And do you hear that click? That click lets me know that the bobbin is now secure. So then I'm going to take my plate, put it in at an angle and connect it. And once I have that done, I am going to connect or close my plate, and then I am ready to begin sewing. So I'm going to close the top one as well. And now I am ready, and I can turn on my machine on the right hand side. All right, now we're gonna go over what happens if you ran out of thread in your bobbin. So oftentimes you notice when you run out of thread will be because you're sewing and then suddenly it stops. It's sewing just the top and not actually the bottom stitch, so nothing's actually sewing. So it's always a good idea to have an eye on that. But let's say, for example, it does. What you're going to need to do is open up this top part, because that is what you're going to primarily be using. I'm gonna scooch this a little closer so you can see. And then you are going to take your spool completely out and you'll put it right back in. So you can do that without taking the spool completely out, but you're gonna pull that thread to make sure it's completely open. And then you are going to go around this black part again, but instead of going this way on the top of it, you are going to go on the bottom and around. And then that little silver part, you are also going to guide your thread through there, and you should hear a clicking sound in there as well. So it should look like that. So down on the bottom, around, and fed through this part right here. All right, now what do you do with this part? You're then going to need your empty bobbin. So my empty bobbin is right here, and you'll notice if you're looking at the bobbin, there are going to be holes on the top and on the bottom of the bobbin. It doesn't really matter which one's top, which one's bottom, but here's what you need to know when you're threading it. You need to go through the center and out the top. So through the center of your bobbin and out that top hole. Through the center, out that top hole. So now I have a well established top and bottom. I went through the center, went out that top hole. You're not going through both, that will mess it up. So then your attention needs to be focused on the bobbin right there. So you are going to take your top right there and you are going to place it, wait for it to focus, place it right on there, and then you are going to press it down. Our bobbin is all the way to the left. That means it's disengaged. So this is what it should look like. I'm going to move it all the way over and I should hear a click. There you go. And now I'm going to hold this piece and I'm going to show you how you actually wind it and what that process looks like right now. So I'm going to hold it. I'm going to make sure my machine is on because your machine stays off for the majority. Because it is over here, my needle is not going to move because the bobbin is engaged. And then you just hold on to this piece until it either breaks or you let go of it, and you press on the pedal and it is going to start winding that bobbin. Like so, and I'm just gonna hold onto it until it is completely done or my hand starts to lose it. There you go. So it broke off, which is fine. You're just gonna let it keep going until there's a little silver part that's going to cut it off and make it stop in just a moment. So you don't even have to stop it yourself. The machine is going to do that. Notice I can press it, but it's not going to go anymore. So then you're going to disengage the bobbin. That should allow you to push up. And then I can use my thread cutter on my other side of my machine and go ahead and cut that thread. So now I have a completely full and nice bobbin ready for me to work with. Next, we're going to go over how to change your needle. So needles can be changed for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's because they've been in the machine for a long time, while other times it's just because the needle simply breaks. So you are going to go into your machine and you're going to look for the clamp, which is right here. This holds the needle into place. And in fact, every time you sew, you're going to want to make sure that that's tight by pushing it towards the back. When you need to change your needle, that's when you're going to wind it towards you and it should release the needle like so. Now on a needle, you are going to have a flat edge. As we can see on this needle, this is our flat edge and this is our rounded edge. And then we have, of course, the eye of the needle and the point of the needle over here. So for this, we are going to make sure that we have the flat edge, which is right here, facing the back of the machine. Now there is going to be a hole right in that part of the machine that you can kind of feel. You'll have to mess with it just a little bit. And you should be able to, by holding both, be able to kind of push it in like that. And obviously that took me a little bit, so if you don't get it on the first try, that's okay. You're gonna put it as far in as you possibly can, and then you're going to take the clamp and wind it away from you. Now my needle is ready to go. One thing that you're gonna have to be careful of is that you don't have the needle too close to the end. So if your needle's too close, that's way too far down and it's likely to break. So you're gonna wanna bring it all the way up and then clamp it like so. And that is how you change your needle. Next, we're gonna be talking about changing the foot of your needle. You'll need to do this for several reasons, but the biggest reason you'll need to do it in my class is to change it from a regular sewing foot to a zipper foot. And this is how you do it. So if you're looking at more so the side of the machine is what you're gonna need to be looking at here. And you're gonna see this red button right here. I'm gonna move it down just a touch so you can see that red button. So when you are going to change the foot, all you're going to do is press that red button, and it is going to drop that foot completely off. So it has this little metal bar, and that is how you are going to clamp the foot to the actual machine. So for me, what I like to do is I'm going to put it underneath, and then I'm going to use a combination of the lever that brings my foot up and down and this red button. So I'm going to put my foot, the lever down, line it up, press the red button kind of at the same time, and well, I didn't get it that time, so I'm going to move it a little bit farther back, make sure it's lined up, press the red button first, and then bring it down. That makes it a little bit more seamless. And now my foot is on there, and I know that it is secure. So again, let's take off, push red button, lift lever up. To put back on, I'm going to align this little notch right here with like the half circle right there. I'm going to align that with the bar in my foot right here. I'm going to line those two up. The feed dogs sometimes get in the way. I'm going to put the lever down, push the red button at the same time, and let whoops, it was a little bit off. Let everything fall into place like that. And now you have changed the foot of your machine. The last thing we're going to do is go over how do you put up the machine. You make sure that it is not threaded in the bobbin or up here at the spool pin. Only my advanced fashion students are allowed to leave things in here, so do not leave any of your thread in there. And then you are going to make sure your machine is off. Then you unplug it from the machine. After you're done unplugging it from the machine, you're going to unplug it from the wall. Now you're going to take this, you're going to make sure it's even and flushed like this, and then you're going to take this part and you are going to wind the whole thing around. You can put pressure on the foot, that is fine, that's going to help it. You're going to wind it up, place that there, and then you should have a little bit of excess where the plug goes into the wall, and you are going to wind that over. This makes it look nice and neat, and you make sure that you've put the machine up correctly. I a lot of times try, if you can, to overlap it like that. There you go. And then pull, and this goes right in there. And then of course your cover will go on top. You'll take the handle, reinforce it with the bottom like that, and take it and put it back in the sewing machine closet. And that is all.